I just pressed the Let's Go Live button. So let's wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs. Before we go ahead and get started, we got to make sure those tubes are connected on this lovely Wednesday. Over on the YouTubes, on the Rumbles, on the locals, and elsewhere, it looks like we're alive and well. That's tremendous news. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let us do it, shall we? As soon as we cue this up, let's do it. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Govea. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we're talking about Donald Trump's case in Florida. We're going to be percolating on this story about whether or not Obama issued a secret memo and created a secret organization that is going to exonerate Donald Trump. America First Legal sent in this Freedom of Information Act request, and they're drawing our attention to this little-known committee that Obama created, calling it the Presidential Information Technology Committee. And that's interesting because that means if this committee exists and they've got broad powers over the president's classified documents and stuff like that, maybe Trump has a reason why he kept those documents. In other words, he's got some justification for holding on to them. So we're going to go through that Freedom of Information Act request, see what is inside, and refresh our recollection about what the executive order itself looks like, because this is something that Obama published back on March 19th, 2015, right before Trump came into office, and that may give Trump some cover for his defense. Now, I think it's even broader than this. I think Trump has the opinion clause power under the United States Constitution, but we'll come back to that when it is appropriate. We also have a meeting. Jack Smith was hanging out with Judge Eileen Cannon today. They had a classified documents hearing, so we'll see what was going on with that, all in the first segment. Then we're going to go over to Georgia and see what's happening in Big Fani's jurisdiction, because there was another claim that was filed. You see, this is a lawsuit that was submitted against Fulton County and against Fani Willis, submitted by Ashley Merchant, Mike Roman, the same people who submitted the motion to dismiss and blew the lid off the whole Nathan Wade saga, the whole scandal, the little affair when they were indicting each other, now submitted another lawsuit saying that Fulton County is not giving them the documents that they need as part of their discovery. They need information to prepare their case. And so we're going to go through this because they actually filed a lawsuit saying Fani is supposed to give us these materials. She's not giving us these materials. And so now you're going to be sued. And they submitted that. So we'll read through what is inside. Now, as we kind of predicted here, we were concerned that maybe we weren't going to see a whole lot of interesting activity out of the Nathan Wade divorce, because now that Jocelyn has all the leverage in the world that you could ever possibly imagine, Nathan Wade really has nothing else to fight about. He's going, okay, yeah, honey, sorry. I mean, not calling you honey anymore, but whatever you want, you got it. Because she has him over a barrel, essentially. She's going to make his lover come in and testify, who happens to be the biggest Fani in Fulton County. Oh my gosh, that's a disaster. So that whole case got settled. We're not going to be hearing from Fani Willis at the divorce proceeding, presumably, but we are going to be hearing from her at the next hearing, because she did get a subpoena to show up in the criminal trials from Ashley Merchant. And so that is happening on Feb 15. So make sure you are subscribed, my friends, because that's going to be juicy. We also had this audio pop out where Fani fired this woman who was a bona fide whistleblower, who was saying someone in Fani's office was colluding to misappropriate funds. She blew the whistle on it, and Fani said, well, we like to go on cruises, though. And so apparently she got fired, and that audio was just released. And then today, there was an interesting exchange, some actually interesting stuff happening in Congress. We talked a little bit about this morning on our members-only stream, but Director Wray testified in front of Congress, as did the CEO of Tik Tok, this guy. And there were a bunch of issues about China. And I know we poke fun at the FBI here a lot, and we always have questions when they come out and they start raising, pounding the table, China, China, China. But I think that there is really actually some legitimate threats here. much more so than the J6ers, which they spend all their time on. But they're saying that, yeah, PRC are actively attacking all sorts of cyber infrastructure, and we'll see if they do anything about it. But Tom Cotton and Ted Cruz, they both laced into the TikTok CEO. And so I've got a couple of clips from that as well. Now we're waiting. We've been waiting all day. I was very excited to read through Judge Engoron's ruling. Apparently that was supposed to come out today. He said it was coming out today, but it has not dropped. The time is now 3 o'clock my time, which means it is 5 p.m. Eastern time on the East Coast. And I still don't think we have a verdict from him. So we may not be getting that today. If it does drop as we're here today, we'll be sure to cover that tomorrow when it does drop. And so, as you can see, my friends, we have a lot to get to today. We're grateful you are here and with us. It is a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. Of course, we always have our member-only streams in the morning. Whether you're a member on YouTube or whether you join us on Locals, we love to have you. We do streams in the morning. We do Saturday shows. We talk about a lot of the other things that we can't get to here just due to time. And so come and join us, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And today we finished our fitness challenge. We have a Watcher Lodge as well, where we hang out and do lodge activities. And we just finished our 31-day fitness challenge today. So shout out to everybody who participated in that. We've got a bunch of fun stuff that we're going to be giving away next week on Monday for all of our fitness challenge participants at watcherlodge.com, including scholarships to the lodge, including some other fun stuff. So we're working on actively building out our community, growing our community, going deeper and deeper with our learnings and teachings and relationships. So come and check us out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We also have our website. So if you have any inkling, you want to read some of the PDFs that we cover here, we upload those all on robertgovea.com. And it is where you can access our daily newsletter, sign up for the newsletter, read any of the PDFs, go to the merch store, grab yourself a hat, grab yourself something nice, and look good while you're watching the show. And so robertgovea.com, watchingthewatchers.locals.com as well. Now, my friends, before we get into the meat and potatoes, we have a very special shout out that we have to do today. And I'm honored to share this with you. And so if you'll indulge me for just one moment, I want to give a special shout out to our friend Vientikis Prime. You know him as one of our extraordinary mods. We have the best mods on the whole internet. But I want to share with you something that Vientikis has accomplished. You're looking at it. Boom! Look at these things. 3 books, The Chronicles of the Last Enchantress. These are all published now and available for you to purchase if you'd like to read. The link is down in the description below. And so I want to send a major congrats to Vientikis for publishing 3 books in a trilogy. And there's something just special about these beyond just the fact that he wrote 3 books and a whole trilogy, which is like, I don't even know how you do that. But check this out. So if you look at the cover of this book, Chronicles of the Last Enchantress, this is book 1 called Identity. So check this out. If you look it up, a couple things you'll notice. First of all, when you open it up, special thanks here go out to some other people you know here. Not only did Vientikis write this, but he also is shouting out. Guess who shout out right here? Special thanks right here on this page. Kay Bean. Shout out to Kay Bean in the chat. What's up? Right over there. She's in our chat. Shout out to John Allen, Hunter's crack dealer in the house. Shout out. Special thanks. You guys know who he is. Hunter's crack dealer's here. Shout out to Bonnie. Bonnie's over on Locals all the time. Bonnie in the house. Special thanks from Vientikis to Bonnie. Incredible. Now check this out, my friends. That's just the beginning. The cover art, this cover art that you're seeing right here, it was created by our very own Geegum Geegum. You know her as the Meme Smith. Shout out to Heidi Productions for doing the art. She did it. And you know who she is over on Locals as well. So it's the whole crew is in the house who assembled all of this work. I mean, it's really just awesome. So shout out to V. Shout out to everybody who got special thanks from V. Shout out to Geegum for the artwork. Shout out for all the love to V. It's incredible. And so the links are down in the description below if you want to go get a copy from Barnes & Noble. And if you'll just indulge me for just a moment, Let's just read a paragraph or two because I think it's relevant to some of the things we talk about here. Here's how it goes. Thank you for indulging. And Vienticus Prime is in the audience right now. He says, here's how the book starts. It was a beautiful spring day, a perfect day for anyone to sit on that lone little hill and enjoy the weather. One could not hope for a better first day of spring, but enjoying the weather was not what Lissa went up that hill to do. Every few days, she would sit leaning against that tree, just thinking to herself. She spent so much time up there under the lone tree that one day her father built a short stool specifically for her sitting spot. Before that, it was always a little awkward sitting against the tree. Being near the top of the hill, the ground around it was slanted, but it was the only tree on that hill. There was nowhere else to sit to get shelter from the rain or the summer sun. The stool was a help. Not only did it help the girl keep her clothes from getting dirt on them, but making the experience slightly less awkward also made it easier for her to focus on her thoughts. So there she would sit every now and then, staring at the forest a few hundred feet away. Only a handful of years ago, she was playing in those woods, but now she was older, almost enough to take the trial. Every once in a while, the wind would pick up and ruffle through her dark wavy hair as she sat and stared, lost in thought. Despite much of it being bound behind her back, which was not uncommon for girls like her. With the trial going on, she had much to think about. She understood the point of the trial, but wished she didn't have to go through it. It wasn't the challenge that occupied her thought, but instead contemplations of what forces of creation set in motion the circumstances that caused Lissa to be what she was, or rather, potentially would be. She had been watching a hawk flying through the sky. What if she could just drop it all and maybe be a hunter? Well, for that matter, what if she were just born a hawk instead? Would it be better? Would it be better, or would it just be different? The hawk dove down, getting closer and closer to the ground, not far in front of her. Suddenly, it started flapping its wings so it could start climbing. Its prey must have found a place to hide somewhere in the grass. Perhaps it had its own burrow somewhere. As the hawk changed to climb, the girl could see a soft feather left its body and floated down. The gentle wind moved the feather closer and closer to her as it fell, but before it could get close enough for her to grasp, the wind began carrying it away from her. Lissa, it's time for training, a woman's voice called to the girl from a short distance behind her. And you're going to have to read the rest of the book from Vienticus. The Last Enchantress, that's just the intro. The link is down in the description below. Vienticus and everybody in the house, go get your copy and support our friend Vienticus. All right, my friend. So thank you for indulging. Thanks for supporting V. We love to support our friends. And he wrote 3 books, and it's a big deal. Shout out to V. Shout out to Jigam. Beautiful artwork. Let's get to work. All right, now you can see those links are in the description. And now let's get into the meat and potatoes on the day. Starting with Trump. A secret Obama memo might exonerate Donald Trump. He's being prosecuted for having classified documents. But what if there were provisions out there that Obama put in place that allowed the president to have those classified documents? Well, that's what America First Legal has under their belt that they are releasing to all of us in the form of a Freedom of Information Act request. And that went over to the entities that apparently have these documents. And we're asking ourselves, why is Trump being prosecuted when he was the president? He either declassified the documents or he's entitled to have the classified documents because he was the president. But a bunch of statutes are saying, no, that's criminal. And Jack Smith is having to plead his case to Judge Cannon. In fact, they're meeting in Florida behind closed doors to talk about these documents. Here is what is happening. Federal prosecutors are scheduled to appear before Cannon's courtroom on Wednesday, and they're meeting in a facility that they say is suitable for the discussion of classified information. This is happening now. So this was a sealed hearing. There was a paperless order earlier this month, said, hey, you guys all got to come down here and explain to us what you have in your filings, in your records. In her January 11th order scheduling the conference, Cannon said its purpose will be to assist in the court's evaluation of 2 motions by Trump. Now, Trump is seeking to access some of these classified documents in advance of the upcoming public hearing. Wednesday's meeting, that's today, also comes in advance of other hearings on other classified information that are also scheduled for the 12th and the 13th. And so we're battling around these. Now, My position on this has long been that the president, if you read the Constitution, it says, the president shall be entitled to the writings of his cabinet people, to the information in the form of writings, right? In other words, the president establishes who works for him. He's entitled to their documents. That's in the Constitution. Now, if you then add in all of the congressional statutory rules, all of the other laws that they've classified this, classified all the things, okay, that might be relevant, but it doesn't usurp the Constitution. Okay, just because the National Archives say, you have to get our permission to declassify. Here, fill out this form. No one cares about your stupid form. It's a statute. Okay, like maybe some people do care. And they go, okay, here, we'll go through this process. But if you're the president and you say, no, those are my documents because I'm the president, I'm entitled to those under the Constitution, that is the supreme law of the land. Now we're asking ourselves, that issue has not come up yet. We're still asking ourselves about, these other mechanisms that still say Trump was entitled to these documents, but they're battling about it. And this is taking place in front of Judge Cannon. Trump wants attorneys' eyes only on some of these materials, and we still don't even know what these are. I mean, this is one of the most ridiculous cases ever, where you can say Trump broke the law, but we can't tell you exactly how he broke the law. But they're classified. It's classified documents. All right, you get the gist. So America First Legal says, no, actually, there's another thing that Barack Obama did that also entitles Trump to have the documents. And here was what they posted on X. And we're going to jump into their official filing and see the fullness. But here they wrote a secret Obama memo that creates the Presidential Information Technology Committee, the PITC, regarding control of presidential records could change everything in the DOJ's prosecution of Trump. We're going to go through this as well. But let's go into their article, or into their Freedom of Information Act request. But I wanted to share this with you. This is who you should be following. They're doing awesome work. And we are grateful that we have some legal powerhouses on our side. And so they sent this one in to the Freedom of Information Act Center. America First Legal sent this one in. They say, all right, dear FOIA officer, thanks for your assistance on this whole thing. Says America First Legal is a national nonprofit organization that works to promote the rule of law and public knowledge about what the heck's happening in this country. Now, we file FOIA requests on issues of public concern, and we turn this into actual work. So they get the FOIA materials, then they convert it, they translate it, okay, just like what we do here. We translate the government garbage and make it more accessible. They've got a bunch of followers. Look at all these followers. Shout out to AFL. Make sure you're following them. So here's what the background is. This is why they need this info. They tell us to cover up Russia hacking, Obama created a new presumption in presidential records. Okay, there's a new baseline. There's new rules in play. Obama did it. Those received by the president are in his exclusive control. Okay, if the president gets records, they are his and his alone. Obama did it, not Trump. Now, in 2014, here's the background. Hackers that were believed to be working for the Russian government succeeded in breaching an unclassified network of the executive office of the presidency. Okay, that's Obama, which includes the White House office in addition to other agencies like budget. Now, 6 months after that, reports indicative of another breach, they disclosed that the White House's unclassified network, which served the entire office of the presidency, had been compromised. Okay, everything. That's our government. Nice job. Now, in between these reports, Obama, he established via executive action a White House Information Technology Director. And he also created an executive committee for presidential information technology, the PITC. The PITC. Now, one executive committee member is the director of the White House Military Office, which is a component of the U.S. Department of Defense. The memorandum makes clear that the defense secretary shall designate or appoint a White House technology liaison as communications agency. Now, the memo required that all records that were created or received by the executive office of the presidency be stored on systems that were held at the DoD, the Department of Defense. And so the PITC memo by Obama created the legal fiction that although the records were physically stored and possessed by the DoD, they were the subject to the president's exclusive control. Okay, so you guys hold on to them, but they're mine. That's what Obama said. Now, because of this, Because Obama said that, right? Even though you physically have them, they are under my exclusive control. Now, because of Obama's executive action, they say Trump could have used that. And he could have reasonably concluded that all information provided to him was literally within his exclusive control. Why? Because it says that. The PITC memo that came out from Obama establishes the president's exclusive control of the information that goes over to them. Now, to emphasize the notion of control, the memo stated this. Now, they said nothing in this memo may be construed to delegate the ownership to any entity outside of the EOP, right? It's ours. Nothing in here says that it's not ours. And thus, it made clear that the records that were sent to the executive office of the presidency systems or originating on those systems are controlled by the president. Notably, because this memo relies on definitions of information systems from U.S. code, it's active. So federal prosecutors, they say, didn't disclose this stuff. Evidence disclosing the PITC system may be favorable to Trump, but the government didn't disclose it to him. And that's as far as we know. I don't think I've seen anything from Trump's defense confirming that they don't know anything about this yet. But certainly it's interesting. Now, federal prosecutors, they have a duty to learn. They have to go find this stuff, any favorable evidence that is benefiting the defense. If there's something that's going to be favorable to Trump or the defendant, they know about, or they should know about, they got to disclose that. That's called Brady. They have an affirmative duty to reveal any evidence that's material to guilt or punishment. If they know that Trump has the authority to have these and that there's this whole system in place, they got to disclose that. They have a duty to disclose exculpatory evidence even beyond what's in their little case files, which are always this big. Oh, we don't have anything. What are you talking about? On June 8th, 2023, they give us some background. Special counsel Jack Smith's team issued an indictment against Trump and then a superseding indictment. Now, they say this is the Florida case, mind you, not the J6 case. Trump was not authorized to possess or retain these classified documents, which I totally disagree with. But the former president his compliance with Obama's PITC memo may have created a reasonable belief that Trump had, in fact, the authority. He's just doing what Obama said he could do. Now, the indictment discusses classified information with reference to a series of executive orders, but it noticeably fails to disclose the obvious ways where Obama's memo could change the presumptions and the belief about the ownership and control of the info. The first set of 32 counts in Trump's indictment, they say Trump had unauthorized possession of a document. But if the relevant documents were subject to PITC from Obama, then Trump, pursuant to the memo, had exclusive control over the document he received, as opposed to the executive office of the presidency or any other part of the federal government. The PITC memo arguably establishes exclusive control in the person of the president. The person of the president. Now, I wonder if they'll say that that is just if that's temporally limited, like once you are no longer officially the president, like it says the president and not the ex-president. Let's see here. Are controlled by the president. Okay, so we'll look at that memo in a minute. But additional counts were also brought under separate provisions of the code. Trump was charged saying that theory that Trump destroyed records because he had the intent to impair them and to prevent their use in other official proceedings. But they say no. However, if however, any relevant document was in fact subject to PITC, then its availability has been unaffected. Why? Because they have possession of it. Now, additionally, in order for them to establish that Trump destroyed these records, they would need to show that Trump believed his copies were the only ones in existence. Okay, so Trump had a copy of the things because he's entitled to that, but he didn't destroy anything because the original source was back with the military at the DOD, but Trump had full authority to do this. Thanks to Obama. Thanks, Obama. Now, evidence concerning Pit C is further relevant to whether Trump met the mens rea. And remember, in the law, we've got two components of criminal charges, broadly speaking, mens rea and actus reus. Mens rea is the mindset, the guilty mind, whether you have the appropriate mental state, and the action is the actual action. Did you physically do the thing? Yeah, I did. Did you intend to physically do that thing, or was it an accident? Well, I intended to do the thing. Okay, now you're busted because you got mens rea, you had a guilty mind, and you actually did the thing. So such knowledge, what they say here, they can't get into Trump's mind. They don't know whether or not he actually had that guilty mens rea. They say, well, he had the documents. I mean, he had access to the documents, but not the other. There's no evidence of the other component here. So they tell us such knowledge would not exist if the record was subject to Pit C, as the president would have known that such a record was within his exclusive control, and therefore it does not belong to the United States. Now, what records relevant to the indictment that were subject to Pit C is thus relevant to the charges. So we need to know what the documents were, because the documents, knowing what the documents are, will give us evidence about what Trump was thinking about the documents. And if the documents are also covered under Pit C, thanks Obama, then Trump is clear. Now, because the Pit C memo, all documents and communications sent or received on the president's network are stored and managed by the DOD on behalf of the president, the physical destruction or the removal of a record that's governed by Pit C typically would not remove it from the custody of the United States, because the DOD would have their copy. Now, indeed, so in other words, Trump is free to do that, right? He's allowed to actually take those materials because of Obama. Now, indeed, the Pit C memo that Obama creates a PITC, a Pit C director. And the director has the duty to ensure the effective use of information, resources, and information systems that are provided to the president. And they shall have the appropriate authority to promulgate all necessary procedures and rules governing these resources and systems. So the PITC director's opinion as to what the records that were received by Trump is critically important to him. What did the PITC director, what did he say about all this? Shouldn't we know? Now, on the other hand, the Presidential Records Act, by contrast, specifically excludes from its scope extra copies of documents produced only for convenience. And any document produced to the president subject to Pit C may constitute the creation of records that were not presidential records, as the originals are held by Pit C. Now, the copies provided to Trump were mere copies, excluded from the definition in the act. If true, then disclosure is necessary, we need to know, to the extent it would tend to show that the National Archives had no authority to make referrals to law enforcement over records that were not subject to its jurisdiction. Oh, that is good. If the disclosure, there's no authority, right? Because Trump was entitled to have the materials. They just forgot about, well, Pit C is a big problem for us, so we'll just leave all of that out. Leave all of that to the side. Now, America First Legal, they say, is legally entitled to these records. It's from Pit C, they want access. Now, normally, as a legal matter, records subject to the president's reservation of control are not federal records subject to FOIA. However, the president cannot convert federal records into presidential records to avoid transparency obligations, notwithstanding the extent to which that legal fiction may govern a president's interpretation of the law. Records subject to the DOD's search, to the DOD's review, those are all disclosable under the law. And so they have control of them. And so we want to know a bunch of this stuff. But let's take a quick look at the actual memo, the actual production from Obama that came out, because that's what this looks like here. You see, this one was published March 19, 2015 by Obama, the White House, President Barack. Remember those years? Oh my gosh. At least he could talk. I mean, at least he could speak. Presidential memo establishing the director of the White House Information Technology and the Executive Committee for Presidential Information Technology. Wow. All by executive order. By the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution of the United States, I hereby direct the following. The purpose of this memo is to ensure that the President has secure, resilient info. It's intended, check this out, This memo is intended to maintain the president's exclusive control of the information resources and the information systems provided to the president and the office of the presidency. Exclusive. The responsibility vests in the director as described below. All of this in the director. Now, on behalf of the president, check this one out. He shall have the primary authority to establish the necessary policies, and the memo, nothing in this memo may be construed to delegate the ownership or the rights associated with ownership of anything to any entity outside of the EOP. And there's more rules. The director shall do all the following. The director shall advise and confer with the appropriate departments to talk about all this, and may assign and delegate a bunch of duties. But that's from Obama. And executive office of the president means all of these components, everybody involved. It's broad. Signed by Barack Obama. And this is actually in alignment with my interpretation of the Constitution. Go and look up the opinion clause. It's very obscure, not a lot of reading or research on it. But it says that the president is entitled to the opinions of everyone in the executive branch. So I think he has a strong basis for this as well. Obviously, it's a separation of powers problem. Congress can't legislate without amending the Constitution that the president can't get his own documents. It's insane. And they've done that. They've said, well, the National Archives and all these other agencies, they can all pass their rules for classified this class. That may all apply to everybody who's not listed in the Constitution as the president, but it does not apply to the president. So America First continues on. And here's what they tell us. Based on all of this, based on the fact that Obama says that there's this whole other agency that protects Trump and the president, in order to ensure that records subject to FOIA are not improperly kept and hidden from us, we request access to the following records, which shall be processed as a simple track. Here's what we want. Any records that tend to show the existence of a practice of DoD preservation of the records whose copies were accessed by the president. So do they have documents that Trump has or accessed? The time frame for this request is from December 31 to January 21, 2021. Now, we request a waiver for fees because the public has a right to know about this. In this case, it's appropriate. The public needs to obtain clarity about the PITC's authority. Now, to date, the information requested has not been released in any form to the public. First, I'm hearing about it. Its release in response to this request will therefore contribute significantly to public knowledge about all this. And by the way, America First Legal, who could really use your support in the form of a follow, is a nonprofit. Has no commercial interest in this. They're also asking that the records be preserved. So as a result of this request, do not destroy anything, because if you deny this request, we're going to be litigating this. And here's how you can send it to us. Put it on a USB drive in PDF format and send it over to us ASAP. We thank you in advance for your cooperation. Sincerely, your friend, Daniel S. Epstein from the America First Legal Foundation. Shout out to Daniel from America First for bringing this to light, exposing all of this for us to see. A whole separate presidential entity that manages all of the IT and all of the documents and all the materials that are coming through the office, all governed by the DoD. They've neglected to tell us about this. And we'll see if Trump's team is aware of this. We don't even know if they're talking about this. Maybe they are. Problem is, we can't see it because it's all classified. It's all being done under seal. Nobody can see anything. It's a real convenient way to prosecute your political enemies in this country when you can say they did some really bad stuff. You say, really? You're kidding me. Well, we should know about it since, they're running for president. It's really bad, like national security secrets. Wow. What kind of national security secrets? We can't talk to you about that. Why? It's classified. Well, how do we know that you're being honest? Well, trust us. We're the DOJ. That's the problem. We don't trust you because you are the DOJ. Well, that's too bad. It's classified. And if you want it unsealed, you're an insurrectionist. Maybe they'll charge us too. So as you can see, my friends, there is going to be a lot in this Florida case. We've been spending a ton of time on the J6 case because there's been not a lot we can see in Florida. But their meeting, Judge Cannon is not taking any of these guys' guff, and we're excited to see what comes out of the classified documents hearing and some additional proceedings coming up in the Florida classified documents case. And so we're going to be continuing to cover this, my friends, and we hope you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for liking this video. I always forget to say that, but I appreciate those likes. It really does help the videos spread out there all across the interwebs. So thanks for checking that out. Thanks for visiting robertgovea.com. Links are down in the description below to get the PDFs, to sign up for our daily newsletter. There's going to be a lot more in this case to cover, and we'll be here to do it. Thank you for joining us as we do. All right, my friends. Now, we are going to bounce over from Florida, hop on a short plane, and get over to Georgia, where we've got big Fani Willis in-house. And I had to just click a little couple buttons over here and see if I can get, hang on one second, while we're here. Let me see if I can log into this. 1 second. YouTube logged me out. Very, very inappropriate. You know, we're in the middle of a stream. I start the stream and I see all the chat. I see all the metrics. In the middle of the stream, YouTube just says, you're done. You're logged out now. It's the weirdest thing in the world. It's like, I'm streaming though, man. Hello. We're right here. So let's see if this will log us back in. Oh my goodness. All right. My apologies, my friends. Hang on a second. It's giving me guff. All right. Now we're getting logged in. We've got to say hello to our YouTube friends. I don't know why it does that in the middle of a stream. It's bizarre. But okay, we're back. Good to see everybody. All right. Good to see everybody. We still streaming over there? Right. All right, we're back. I can see you. What's up, Sydney? What's up, Cliff? What's up, Freedom? Good to see you guys. I get nervous when I can't see what's going on. Yeah, YouTube hates me. They're clogging up our tubes. All right, let's get back to it, my friends. Fani Willis getting sued. She's got a lot of different problems there in Fulton County, but this lawsuit is just another one. They're saying that she's not disclosing evidence that they need. Who is they? Well, it's Mike Roman, of course, Ashley Merchant, the defense attorney who blew the lid off the whole Fani Wade hot dog scandal that's taking place there in Georgia. And now, because Fani is refusing to give them the materials that they need to properly investigate this claim that these two little lovebirds have been going on cruises together using prosecution money, she filed a complaint. We're going to go through it and see what's inside. We've also got updates. Nathan's divorce got settled. There was a new audio that is available where Fani is secretly recorded with this woman who's a whistleblower who's pointing out all of the problems in her office, and Fani Willis fired her. Sheesh. And then we know that Fani, even though she's not going to be testifying in Nathan Wade's divorce, she got a subpoena to show up on February 15th, and we can't wait to watch that hearing together. So make sure you're subscribed and joining us as we do. Now, let's get into the lawsuit, because this stems from this back and forth. Remember, Mike Roman and Ashley Merchant, the defendant and the defense attorney, they shocked the whole world when we learned that there was a very concerning relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, her very special prosecutor, who she paid nearly $1 million, while the other special prosecutors just got under $100,000. And presumably she didn't sleep with them. But here is the complaint. Now, this is going to Fulton County's district office, which is Fani's, and it's brought by the Merchant Law Firm. Shout out to Ashley Merchant, doing a great job there. We have the best defense attorneys. We love our defense attorneys. So in Superior Court of Fulton County, she sends this one, and it's a civil action, okay? So this is a different complaint. She is filing a lawsuit. She's saying, all right, guess what, Fani? You're in big trouble now. Here is our complaint against you for violating Georgia's Records Act. You're busted. Saying here, it is important, Your Honor, to know that we are here filing a complaint against Fani. Why? Because she's violating the Georgia Records Act. And they tell us about this act. They say Georgia legislature already passed this, by the way. And it's important. It's a mechanism so citizens of Georgia can actually evaluate their government's use of resources. The act was specifically created because we are in favor of open government here in Georgia. The open government is essential to a free and open and democratic society. Transparency, man. That's one of our values here. That public access to public records should be encouraged to foster confidence in government, and so that the public, us, can evaluate the expenditure of these public funds. That's why we passed this act. It is the law. Georgia 50-1870. Now, thus, the public policy behind the act is to encourage transparency in the government. The Court of Appeals has said this too. So there's a lot of reasons why we're entitled to this material. But District Attorney Fani, she's made public statements indicating that she would lead Fulton County, and she said historically that she would be transparent with her citizens. Now, despite the fact that we passed this bill with clear intent, saying we want transparency, and despite the fact that Ms. Willis said that she would be transparent, Fulton County has denied Ashley Merchant and Mike Roman, the defendant, the right to inspect a number of her records. So much for transparency, huh? Now, some of these records include reports that are provided to Fulton County by third-party media companies that were hired with taxpayer funds, by the way, to track the impact of Ms. Willis's statements to the media and whether such statements were viewed favorably by the public. Whoa. That's curious. Wow. Okay, so a third party, lawyers hire consultants all the time. For example, lawyers will hire, let's say, jury, fake, we call them mock jury panels. So you bring in a mock jury, like literally, like you'll hire a bunch of random people to come in and sit for a jury. I'm not joking. And they come in and you present your opening arguments, you present your case, you tell them what's going on. Hey, and you ask them, what did you think about this? What did you say when I said that my client was as innocent as the, wind-driven snow? Did you like that? Well, not really. I don't know what that meant. Okay, I'll change that next time. I'm not going to say that again because nobody got it, right? So you test this stuff. Public, all sorts, expert witnesses, of course, or something that defense attorneys hire all the time, a blood analysis expert, whatever. So here she is, it sounds like, hiring a media consultant or basically like a public perception third party to analyze the reaction to what her office is doing, right? What does the public think about this? So Miss Willis first, and she's using Georgia money to do it. Now, maybe federal money, we don't know. But Miss Willis first began contracting with these companies just before she and Fulton sought to investigate and indict Mr. Roman and everyone else like Trump. So she hired all of these public perception entities before all of this started. So she hired them, one would argue, for this. That's why we're entitled to those materials. And she's using taxpayer money to get it. So as shown below more fully, Fulton and Fani is in clear violation of the act, appears to be intentionally withholding information in advance of scheduled evidentiary hearings, like we're going to be in court discussing this stuff, and we need the materials before we can actually talk intelligently about it. In two separate proceedings, and has forced Ashley Merchant, the plaintiff, to take this action to file this lawsuit. Now, these are not the efforts of an agency, Fani, so-called transparency. Give me a break. And here, Ashley Merchant, through Mike Roman, they request that the court grant relief herein and say that Fulton must permit the inspection or the copying of their documents. And that still, those documents have not been made available to us. It's evident that Fulton and Fani has withheld the records without the substantial justification that they need to do that under the law. Now, here's a footnote about why Fani was not listed. They say Fani is not named individually in this case because a case is currently pending in the Supreme Court in Georgia that seeks to address whether an elected DA may be sued personally under Georgia's open records law. But nevertheless, since the Fulton County office is subject to the open records, we say the relief here is proper and should be granted. So Fani is dealing with another opens record problem in Georgia at the Supreme Court. Now, they say they've got jurisdiction. Why? Fulton County is an agency. Plaintiff is seeking a public record. Venue's proper in Fulton. The parties, we know. Plaintiff is a law firm, is a corporation. Shout out to Ashley Merchant. Fulton County is a political subdivision in Georgia. Now, here's the factual background that leads us to this filing. They say plaintiff, Ashley Merchant, represents Michael Roman, who is a defendant, one of the 19 co-defendants in the RICO case that includes Trump. There was an evidentiary hearing on the calendar. That's currently scheduled for February 15th. We are going to be all over that, so be sure that you're subscribed wherever it is you're watching this. Mr. Roman filed a motion to dismiss and also filed a motion to disqualify Fani. And remember, Donald Trump joined this. We read through that filing yesterday. And all of that is going to be in furtherance of stopping the prosecution of Roman. So we also know that Mr. Roman has also subpoenaed Willis and Wade to come in and testify. I wonder if they'll be holding hands when they walk through the door. You got this, baby. I love you. Just go up there, stand strong. We're innocent. That's going to happen on February 15th, 2024. I can't wait. Now, right after Valentine's Day. Oh, isn't that fun? Oh, right after Valentine's Day. So maybe Willis and Wade will have a nice dinner, a nice steak on their Fulton County credit card. And then they'll show up the next day with that little afterglow. Now, Wade is also scheduled to appear at a separate evidentiary hearing in his pending divorce matter. That's tomorrow. But that's going to be settled. All right, most of that's done. We're going to get there in a minute. Now, among other grounds, Mr. Roman, the defendant, has asserted that Willis and Wade should be disqualified because Willis, Fani, used taxpayer money to pay Wade, with whom she had a romantic relationship, and she got financial benefits from those payments. How? Vacations, cruises, hotel stays, and other personal gifts. She went to Napa Valley, man. She was on cruises. So in light of this information, Mr. Roman, they say, they believe that Willis's use of money that was budgeted to Fulton is of the utmost importance in evaluating whether Willis and Wade have an irreparable and fatal conflict of interest, and whether and to what extent Willis has otherwise used public monies for her personal gain. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Nathan Wade is racking up a bunch of bills right now. He's I'm doing a lot of legal research right now, so he can buy Fani something nice. Who knows? Now, in an apparent effort to intentionally stall Ashley Merchant and Mike Roman's inspection of these documents before the hearing comes up on the 15th, Fulton has refused, without any adequate explanation, to provide us with the documents that we seek, some of which we've been asking for since September of last year. Now, the DA's response to Roman's motion is due this Friday. And so also this Friday, we're going to have another nice filing to read through, because Fani's going to be responding to the motion, and it should be juicy. We'll see if she's in love or not. On September 1, Ashley, the Merchant law firm, requested public records from Fani's office. Back on September 1st, here's what we said. We want these materials. We want all contracts, all bids, all agreements. She's a good lawyer, man. From the law offices of Nathan Wade, Christopher Campbell, PC, the Cross Law Firm, LCC, Anna Cross, everybody. Okay, she just did some digging. I want everybody, all LLCs, everything that your special counsel ever touched. I want information about it. Invoices, contracts, county approval of these vendors, and other documents, and all the things. Now, we don't know if she's going to get all this stuff. Fani said you're not entitled to any of it. But, I mean, that one for sure. I mean, these two, I'm like, yeah, that's a special counsel, and that's Nathan Wade's law firm. These others, I don't even know what they are. All of this, though, probably very relevant. And she sent a request over, and it is attached as an exhibit. Now, the defense here, the plaintiff, the defendant in this case, did not receive any documents within the 3 business days, and there were no legal exceptions that were asserted by Fani. So we followed up. We sent another letter, September 11th. Hello, did you get our first letter? Same thing on the 13th. Hello, the 14th and the 15th. This is just great. Every day. Hey, just following up. Oh, it's so annoying. It's the worst. The worst. If you're on the receiving end of that, it's just the worst. Right? And she's just day after day, 3 days in a row. I wonder if this was a weekend. She missed the 12th. I wonder what was up. Probably tired. But September 11th, 13th, 14th, boom, over to the 15th. Did you see my prior? Hey, just following up on my prior message. Hey, just following up on my prior message. Oh, it's the worst. Those people are the worst, especially if they need something from you and like they have a point, like you have to respond. You're like, I know. Now, despite not, and so that's what's happening in those prosecutors' offices, and they're just irritated because they can't respond. Like they cannot respond. It's great. Now, despite not providing numerous invoices and other documents or providing any reason for failing to do so, Fulton County just returned and said, your request has been closed. After all those emails. And so she knows exactly what she's doing, obviously. So she's papering the file. You paper the file so that you can make this request later and say, look, and say this. Say, Judge, I asked them 5 times, hello. They're not responding. I sent them 5 emails. As a result, on January 4th, then, Miss Merchant had to refile her request, send it back over to Fulton County. A copy of the refiled request is also attached if you want to see it. Now, this request also sought any new documents that were created since the time. But again, Miss Merchant did not receive any response. So she sent some more emails, sent another one on January 12th, one on January 16th. She said, do you have a timeline? But it's now been more than 3 months. And on January 22nd, they responded. They said, this is a government prosecutor, your request has been forwarded to the appropriate department and the time extended to accommodate the appropriate department. Give me a break. Fulton County then wrote, please see the letter attached, and this request has been extended. Then they closed the request, and they told her accordingly. Now they tell us that Fulton County and their action in prematurely closing these requests made the process unnecessarily confusing and burdensome. Like they closed it, and then they reopened it. So like you get new request numbers, and it goes back into the new system, blah, blah, blah. Now, one can only assume this was done intentionally with the hope that Merchant would just simply accept that the request was closed. But she did not, because she is a defense attorney extraordinaire. Because it is evident that the numerous additional responsive documents were in their possession, and they did not give them to us. The open records process itself appears designed to deter Georgia's citizens from even accessing those records. Yeah, so that's Fani's transparency in action. Closing all of their requests. But Ashley Merchant didn't stop there. No, sir. On January 14th, she filed yet another request because it was closed. That's attached now as Exhibit C. Then 4 days later, they responded. Fulton said, oh gosh, it's this woman again. They said, please log into the portal and see the responsive document. Now she's like, oh great, I got documents, perfect, let me log in. The response provided only one contract for John Floyd, and they closed it. Gosh. You know, it's like when you submit a ticket request, you're like, hey, why isn't my chat working? You submit a ticket. Why isn't this working? And they say, it's user error, ticket closed, chat ended. You go, what? Or you try to get a refund. Hey, I'd like a refund for this ridiculous thing. Denied. Yeah, I guess that's it. So that's what Fani's doing for the people of Georgia. Now, finally, Ashley Merchant didn't let up. January 29th, just a few days ago, Fulton County wrote in the records portal. They said, please log into the portal to see the documents. Now, numerous documents were provided in this response, so they're getting closer to it. Delaying, right? Drop it all as late as you can. Now, on the prosecutor's side, they're also reading the rules of criminal procedure, probably. And they're saying, we have an argument to delay this, all the way up until just a couple weeks before the hearing or a couple days before the hearing, right? They're making their posturing as well. So finally, they drop them, okay? January 29, 2024. But numerous documents are still missing. Now, to date, the following 5 items remain outstanding, and these have been pending for almost 5 months. Invoices for July 2023 through December 2023. Nathan Wade got paid for those months, but we don't have the invoices. Where are those? Invoices for Terrence Bradley. Where are those? Don't know. Gone. Anna Cross's current contract, and I think she was another special counsel who's actually qualified. Don't know if Fani slept with her or not, though. Current contract as the contract provided to Miss Merchant, it ended on June 30th. So I'm missing stuff here. I also want current invoices for Anna Cross. Her last invoice was from October 2023. We're now about in February. And John Floyd's current contract, the contract provided for Floyd, ended in 2022. So give us all these records. They say upon information and belief, the documents sought were the same ones that they've held. Okay, they have those, but they were intentionally withheld by them. They were intentionally withheld because we filed a motion to disqualify. And now there's considerable news coverage that show the financial arrangements between Willis and Wade are big, like $1 million. So then in September of last year, Merchant wanted a different set of records, specifically talking about the CARES Act money. The CARES Act. Said, are you using CARES money to go on your cruises? They submitted a request. And they responded. Fulton said, we reviewed your records request. Unfortunately, we do not have the responsive records. Well, that's weird. She says that's strange because upon information and belief, I think that Fani and Willis, they're required to maintain records about how that money was used. That's federal grant money. And they should have records showing how those funds were spent, but they don't have any responsive records for that Fed government money. Nevertheless, in addition to the response, they said, in the normal course of business, we do not maintain responsive records and we cannot produce the records you seek. So then she submitted a separate request. It's just great, man. This attorney is just like peppering them. I am seeking personnel records. I am requesting a list of all attorneys with their names and dates of hiring hired by DA Fani since Fani became the DA. 10 days later, they said, please log in. She logged in, no responsive records. Said, in its normal course of business, we do not maintain those records. We can't tell you who Fani hired. Now, this request, the reason she made that request, it's not just because she's like, who did you hire? I'm just curious. No, it was made because Fani went and spoke at a Fulton County Board of Commissioners. She asked for additional funding to hire lawyers and staff to clear the backlog of COVID cases. So if that were true in 2021, and she did indeed hire lawyers with the funding, there should be records related to that. I need more money for COVID. They gave her more money. What did she do with it? So this lawyer wanted copies of everything, including all the independent contractors that they've hired as well. They submitted on in the portal. Now, Ms. Merchant has not gotten anything. And they responded that we cannot produce the records you seek. Wild. They're not producing anything. No independent contractor records. Sorry, don't have them for you. Now, they say this issue, Fulton issued a statement to the news media that NDAs did not exist, but they later retracted that. They also want the analytics that were provided by Critical Mention. Okay, so that's the company they were talking about earlier. A company called Critical Mention. The contract is for media monitoring and analytical reports. They're provided in response to this contract. Now, 10 days after the original request, Fulton said, yeah, it's clear. Fulton County used funds from Fulton County to contract with Critical Mention to monitor the media presence of Fani Willis. Those emails contain attachments, which were the very reports that she sent, but the request was closed. So they didn't give her information about the money that was spent on Critical Mention. Now, as a result of this, she refiled this. She says, I want that. She said, it appears from the emails that Jeff DeSantis, Fani Willis, and others may have accessed these reports And these reports are paid for by public funds. And so if you're going to get reports about the media, about what the media thinks about Fani, it's public funds, it's subject to open records. So we're entitled to see that stuff. Now, since Fulton provided the emails that contain the attachments, the emails are obviously kept in the ordinary course of their business. So it's not clear why the attachments have not been provided. They gave us the emails, but not the attachments. Why not? Why is the basis for withholding this? Neither Fulton County nor Fani provided any objection that has a legal basis, and so we're entitled to this. Similar stuff here about critical mention. Now, here's another one. She wants to know about vacation time. I want a copy of all vacation and time off requests from Fani Willis. Oh, I love it. Did she put in an official notice? We submitted a bunch of requests January 16th, we took 10 days, didn't get any response. Therefore, the responsive document should have been provided by January 26. However, on January 26, they did respond. They said that we do not maintain responsive records and we cannot produce the records you seek. No records. Weird. So we don't know. Does she even ask for time off or what? She just takes the time off? We also wanted reports and itemizations about what was done with all the property and funds that came through forfeiture proceedings. Where did the funds go and who was paid with your forfeiture money? We want to know, did you use forfeiture funds to pay for Nathan Wade? In other words, where'd their money come from? Similarly, about reimbursements and proof of reimbursements. We want to know, did Fani ask for reimbursements? Did she pay for something and then seek money back? They said no responsive records. Wild, right? Now, similarly, we've got questions about paying or hiring outside counsel, no responsive records. And so we tried to summarize all of this. We said, Your Honor, they're telling the judge, Your Honor, we summarized all of this outstanding stuff. We gave it over to Fani, copy of the letters attached, but she failed to provide us the documents. Now, at no time prior did Fani give any objections or anything, and therefore she's not objecting. And so these are the counts, a violation of Georgia's open records law, saying she's supposed to give us these materials. The law says so. She clearly has them, and she is not giving them to us. So we're asking the court to issue an order directing them to disclose what we've asked for within 10 days. And if not, issue penalties. Signed by John B. Merchant III at the Merchant Law Firm. Is this a husband and wife team? Get out of town. Do we have a husband and wife team or do we have a family team here? The Merchant Law Firm? This gets better and better by the day. All right, so these are the rest of the exhibits. You can see all the letter requests. Here are the Nathan Wade invoices. Here's their portal. I'm seeking copies of everything you've ever touched. And they just say, oh, there's nothing responsive. Here are all her emails. It's great. All right, she included her emails. I love it. All right, this is perfect. All right, this is why lawyers can be so annoying. Here, 9/11, almost 5 o'clock p.m. An email from her. Another one, 9/12 at noon. Just a reminder. Hey, thanks for the invoices. 9/13. We still don't have these files. We do not have invoices for this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Immediate, rapid fire. Okay, there's a concept in criminal defense called war. Okay, war. It's called we're always ready. We're always ready. War. So you want to send an email to us? Boom, we just respond right back. It's like we don't even think about it. Yeah, no, like this is our only case. We're throwing everything we've got against you, specifically, prosecutor. Enjoy. Kind of what this looks like. It says, okay, well, there were 2 attachments, like, because this person sent all these attachments back, and it's like, here, go away. Go away. She says, oh, thank you. First one is Nathan Wade. It does not contain this. Second one is Nathan Wade 2. It's 4 pages. Does not contain the original document. Please resend. Thanks. Good afternoon. Just following up. Still haven't gotten anything from you. And now this person's on their heels. Now they're like, oh, crap. So the responses stop. Here's another one, the 15th. And that concludes it. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to assume these do not exist, but let me know. Otherwise, we're going to sue your butts. Of course, that's what they're doing now. So very, very fun stuff. Fani Willis and her office, it feels like it's in total disarray. Something we've observed from the very beginning on this case. Feels like they are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. And I think that's confirmed by all of their diversion plea deals that they have given to Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis, Kenneth Chesebro, and Scott Hall. They all got off with no convictions at all because there's no evidence. They don't even have their records. We don't keep records. There's no notes. So the question was, what is going to happen now? Because Nathan Wade is also going through this divorce. Fani was supposed to come and testify. She got a subpoena, but it looks like they settled the whole thing out. Smart move on their part. Here is the story from the Times. They say, Fani's not going to have to testify. The leading special prosecutor, known as Nathan Wade, is divorcing his wife, Jocelyn Wade. But Fani's not going to have to testify. There was a temporary agreement that was reached in their divorce case on Tuesday. And I had a feeling this was going to happen. It almost sounded too good to be true. Like, are we going to have like a really hot contested divorce? And we're going to have like Fani Willis and coming in here to testify about her man? It's like, oh gosh, this could have been just amazing. I had my fingers crossed a little bit. But I also had a suspicion that this was going to get solved because now Nathan Wade, he has no leverage at all. Like Jocelyn hit the lottery. Like it was contested, 50-50. I'm going to keep the house. You can keep the boat. You can keep this. Now Jocelyn's like, I'm taking everything, or else we're just going to call your lover in, who happens to be Fulton County, the biggest Fani in Georgia. So what do you want to give me or not? And Nathan's like, whatever you want. I apologize. I'm sorry. Here, have the house, have the boat, have the kids. I don't care. And they settled it. So the agreement between Nathan Wade and his wife, Jocelyn, leaves unanswered for the time being a question that has created peril for Miss Willis. Miss Willis hired Wade, a private lawyer, to help run the Trump case, but a filing weeks ago says that they were indicting each other on cruise ships. Now, Mr. Roman argues this is a conflict of interest. Now, so far, they say no one's confirmed nor denied their relationship. But in recent days, it seemed likely that Wade was going to have to address this at the proceeding on Wednesday. And he didn't want to talk either, man. He's like, I don't want to answer any questions about this. So they just covered the whole thing up. Yes, you can have everything. I don't need anything. Meaning, I don't know, like all of that Fani money, maybe she's getting a nice portion of that. I don't know. He got like $1 million, allegedly. So did they split that down the middle? She's like, I'll settle this and you don't have to testify, but I want 500 grand. I don't know. I bet it's juicy. We'll see what's inside if they disclose it. A lot of the times you don't get to see what those are. But here they tell us the hearing was scuttled at the last minute with an agreement which was announced by the judge. They're all skidding in here. Like, I can just envision the panic at the law offices to settle this before the trial or before the hearing. Now, we can confirm there is a temporary agreement in place while the final details are worked out. But Andrea Dyer Hastings, I think she's the Scorpion King, who we heard testify, was talking about, that was Mrs. Wade's divorce lawyer. So she got like everything they wanted. Now, Ms. Hastings further explained on Tuesday, while this negates the immediate need for a hearing, it does not settle the case. She added that the issues of temporary alimony and attorney's fees have been resolved. I bet they have. Yeah, I bet they've been resolved pretty quickly. He's like, well, up until this story broke, I'm sure he was, not very cooperative. Now I'm sure he's very cooperative. The couple's children are adults. He's like, I don't care. You can have them anyways. Mr. Wade married Miss Wade in 1997, filed for divorce 2 years ago, got the case immediately sealed. Miss Willis has until Friday to respond to Mr. Roman's filing. That's in the criminal case, and we are going to be excited to read that one. Apparently, Wade has reaped in more than $650,000 in legal fees, and I don't know how much Jocelyn is getting. And by the way, Jocelyn was also accused of infidelities, which is not true at all. And hopefully she got some recompense for that. Now, the allegations do not change the underlying facts of the case. Trump is an insurrectionist. And so the New York Times goes back into New York Times mode because they can't help themselves. But the divorce case was settled. And so any good juicy bits that we were going to get out of that is good. But was going to be good, but we're not going to get any juicy bits out of that, unfortunately. But we do have another juicy bit that shows the total disarray and disorder in Fani Willis's office. This came over from Andrew Kerr on X, and he says, breaking, the Free Beacon, shout out to the Free Beacon, has obtained audio of a whistleblower in Fani Willis's office in 2021 with her top aide apparently was trying to misuse federal funds. Willis did not dispute the allegations, and check this out. 56 days later, Willis fired the woman you're about to hear from, probably for her racist attacks on Fani, criticizing her role.
If you had to give me a sentence, what is the sentence theme?
Sentence theme.
Once I told him about his, respectfully and in an email, about his lack of leadership and the fact that he wanted to do things with grants that were impossible. And I kept telling him, like, we can't do that, and questioning stuff. He would take me off projects, tell people I wasn't doing what I was supposed to because I questioned him. Because I understood, I helped write that grant. I knew what was in that grant. He told everybody in front of Crystal, Deontay, everybody, we're going to get MacBooks, we're going to do that, we're going to get swag, we're going to use it for travel. I said, you cannot do that. It's a very, very specific grant. Took me off. I questioned Junior DA. There's kids in there from out of the county, all this. Took me off Junior DA. I did not want to do it. He made it look as if I wasn't doing what I needed to do because I questioned him. Because I knew for a fact Mr. Cuffey respectfully did not know what he was doing, period.
So I respect that is your assessment. It was clear to me that you and Mr. Cuffey were not getting along. And I'm not saying that your assessment is wrong. I want you to really listen to the words I'm saying.
Cuffey, and this is my personal opinion, to one woman to another, is dangerous to your administration.
Wow.
He tells people, when I reached out to you, he told me, you think your word is safe? Exactly when you reached out to Miss Willis, she called me and told me, she tell me everything. So once you reach out to her, she's going to reach up back out to me. So I didn't even go to HR because he put Dexter's name on my PDP, and I didn't even feel safe going to anybody.
Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 supervisors that have failed in this building. What's interesting to me, because I'm in a learning curve too, they each pretend to have a relationship with me that they do not have. Mm-hmm. I guess that's an intimidation tactic. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that you felt that way, but Dexter certainly don't have no relationship with right. Michael Cuffey. You were safe to go those places.
Okay, so that is the conversation between Fani, and apparently the story is from the New York Post that Willis fired that woman, fired her on January 14, 2022, and then escorted her literally out of the building with 7 armed investigators. Apparently that's what she told the Free Beacon. So that's what's happening there, right? That guy that she was talking about is going to just get MacBooks, and they're going to get a bunch of swag. And the person who's actually doing the good work there saying, you can't do that. That grant is specific. Fired, walked out of the building. That's what it looks like in Fani Willis's office. But Fani Willis is going to have to apparently testify. We're going to see what the judge says about this, but she got a subpoena to show up for the February 15th hearing and speak. And we're going to be covering this one, my friends. So be sure that you're subscribed and liking our videos wherever it is you're watching. Here is what Fulton County DA has to do. She's been subpoenaed for the February 15th hearing. Lawsuit filed by Ashley Merchant, we just read through. Merchant represents Roman, and the motion has been explosive. But Wade was expected to be questioned on Wednesday, but that's not going to happen. But now they've got subpoenas that have been sent out. And in the motion that we just read, she says that they are serving Fani Willis. Now, a spokesman says that the lawsuit has not been served on her, but in a letter sent on Friday, the DA's office said, respectfully, we disagree with your disingenuous implication that they violated the open records laws. Merchant recently sworn in as the new president, of the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And so she is bringing it hard to Fani Willis. And so things continue to heat up, my friends. Fani Willis's response is due at the end of the week. We're going to be here covering that. We've got a big explosive hearing on a motion to dismiss the entire RICO case based on her infidelities and unethical behavior as alleged. And we're going to be here continuing to cover it. So I hope you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for checking out our website. Link down in the description below over at robertgovea.com. We post all of our PDFs there. So if you want to dive into the red lines we just went through, that's where you'll find them. And you can also sign up for our daily newsletter so that all these segments, they get bundled up, they get delivered to your inbox so you never miss a thing. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you back there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends, now we got one final segment on the day, and we've got some Christopher Wray and some TikTok clips in the house. And let's get to them together, my friends. The FBI director issued a major warning saying China is absolutely outmaneuvering the United States. And kind of easy to believe that, given the fact that we have a bunch of incompetent people in charge of many of our institutions. But it is concerning, even if it does come from Christopher Wray, because we can see a lot of this. We can see what TikTok looks like and what a lot of these efforts by the Chinese are intending to do. We see balloons flying over our head and all sorts of various things. And so the FBI is issuing a warning, and we're going to hear from him. This took place in the House of Representatives today in Congress. We'll listen to a little bit of Christopher Wray. He gave an opening statement where he says, we are being seriously beaten by the Chinese. And then we're going to jump right across in the Capitol and see what's happening in the Senate, because Senator Tom Cotton was going after the TikTok CEO. You can see him seated there, asking him, are you Chinese? Have you ever been Chinese? Do you ever go to China? Do you like Chinese food? What kind? And we're going to see what that sounded like. And then Ted Cruz also laced into him as he sat there. So we have the FBI director on one side of Congress saying China is dramatically beating the United States. And right next door in the Senate, we have a bunch of senators who are not going to do a damn thing about TikTok. Nothing. Pretty crazy. All on the same day. So let's see what happened here with Christopher Wray. We're going to listen to a bit of him and see what he had to say. And he was joined there by a bunch of other people who were like this guy, General Paul Nascone and others. But let's just jump in with Christopher Wray's opening statement. This is what it looked like in the floor of the House of Representatives in Congress.
Gallagher, Ranking Member Krishnamurthy, and to the members of the Select Committee for inviting me here to testify today to
Thanks for showing up, Chris.
Discuss the FBI's ongoing efforts to protect our nation from actions taken by the Chinese government that threaten Americans' safety and prosperity. Before I go on, I do want to make very clear that my comments today are not about the Chinese people, and certainly not about Chinese Americans who contribute much to our country and are frankly often the victims of Chinese Communist Party aggression themselves. Rather, when I talk about the threat posed by China, I mean the government of China, in particular led by the CCP. The CCP's dangerous actions, China's multi-pronged assault on our national and economic security, make it the defining threat of our generation.
The defining threat of our generation, which is strange because I thought it was the insurrectionists on January 6th, you know.
Now, when I described the CCP as a threat to American safety a moment ago, I meant that quite literally. There has been far too little public focus on the fact that PRC hackers are targeting our critical infrastructure, our water treatment plants, our electrical grid, our oil and natural gas pipelines, our transportation systems, and the risk that poses to every American requires our attention now. China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike. They're not focused just on political and military targets. We can see from where they position themselves across civilian infrastructure that low blows aren't just a possibility in the event of a conflict. Low blows against civilians are part of China's plan. But the PRC's cyber onslaught goes way beyond pre-positioning for future conflict. Today, and literally every day, they're actively attacking our economic security, engaging in wholesale theft of our innovation and our personal and corporate data. Nor is cyber the only PRC threat we face. The PRC cyber threat is made vastly more dangerous by the way they knit cyber into a whole-of-government campaign against us. They recruit human sources to target our businesses, using insiders to steal the same kinds of innovation and data.
And to sleep with our congressmen like Eric Stinky Swalwell.
That their hackers are targeting, while also engaging in corporate deception, hiding Beijing's hand in transactions, joint ventures, and investments to do the same. And they don't just hit our security and economy, they target our freedoms, reaching inside our borders across America to silence, coerce, and threaten some of our citizens and residents.
Yeah, they're setting up labs, they're setting up police departments. We've seen that. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff happening with extensions of the CCP.
But I can assure you, the FBI is laser focused on the threat posed by Beijing.
Yeah, right.
We've got.
You guys are focused on finding the people who stood outside the Capitol. I'm like, wow, this is wild. That's what you're doing.
Cyber, counterintelligence, criminal, and WMD experts, just to name a few, defending against it. And we're working in partnership with the private sector, partnership with our allies abroad, and partnership at all levels of the U.S. government, especially the NSA, Cyber Command, CISA, and ONCD, whose leaders I'm honored to be here with today. In fact, just this morning, we announced an operation where we and our partners identified hundreds of routers that had been taken over by the PRC state-sponsored hacking group known as Volt Typhoon. The Volt Typhoon malware enabled China to hide, among other things, pre-operational reconnaissance and network exploitation against critical infrastructure like our communications, energy, transportation, and water sectors. Steps China was taking, in other words, to find and prepare to destroy or degrade the civilian critical infrastructure that keeps us safe and prosperous. And let's be clear, cyber threats to our critical infrastructure represent real-world threats to our physical safety. So, working with our partners, the FBI ran a court-authorized on-network operation to shut down Volt Typhoon and the access it enabled. Now, this operation was an important step, but there's a whole lot more to do, and we need your help to do it. To quantify what we're up against, the PRC has a bigger hacking program than that of every major nation combined.
Wow.
In fact, if you took every single one of the FBI's cyber agents and intelligence analysts and focused them exclusively on the China threat, China's hackers would still outnumber FBI cyber personnel by at least 50 to 1.
Woo! That's a big number. So 50 to 1. And they've got a lot of resources that they're dedicating to this one issue. So 50 to 1. My question, of course, is I wonder if they reallocated some of the J6 stuff and the white supremacist stuff back into actual, defense. I wonder if that number would shrink up a little bit. Maybe not. But I do have my doubts about our government meeting this response. I think our government is quite incompetent, generally speaking. And this is just true. We lose classified documents all the time. We talked about a whole different story about this morning. 300 gigabytes of highly sensitive stuff gone by another hacking group, right? That was contracted to handle the data storage for the government, right? There are leaks, there are problems all the time. And I've got questions about whether our government is competent to respond to those. Now, I do think that we have a very, very strong private sector, right? I think a lot of the incentives have been pushed down onto the data ownership of the corporations and the companies. So my other question would be, if you included, let's forget about the FBI, who are, I'm sure there are very good people there and some smart people, but a lot of them are just incompetent, as we've seen, because we went through the special agent in charge on January 6th, Steve D'Antonio, right? The guy from DC. That guy was not that good, in my opinion. He didn't even remember anything from a couple of years ago. Like, that's the guy in charge of defending America in Washington, DC. We're in big trouble, man. He couldn't remember anything, or he was lying, or he was being dishonest. Both are bad. If you have FBI agents who can't remember anything about a J6 pipe bomber from 2021, he said, he admitted it was a huge part of his office. Couldn't remember if they did anything about the case. So he's either dishonest or he can't remember crap, which either way, we don't want him in charge of, Washington, D.C. So, all right, what's he going to want? More money, more resources, more power? Does he need more censorship ability so he can censor us harder? What else do they need to do? I don't really know what the answer is. After all, they let a balloon fly over our head for a full week. So I got my doubts about the FBI. I have a lot more faith in the private sector, and I think that there'll probably be a private sector response to some of this. When our government infrastructure ultimately fails, when they do take out the pipelines, or when planes start falling out of the skies, or when electricity shuts off, we're all going to realize it was a dumb idea, a very dumb idea, to rely on the government to provide those services for us because they're incompetent. And I think a lot, we'll start to unbundle a lot of this stuff. Maybe we shouldn't give monopolies, giant monopolies, to nameless corporations that do power for everybody everywhere. Maybe there's a better solution to that. I don't know what it is, but when people's power starts, shutting off, or the internet goes down, this is going to be something that we all start thinking a lot more about. And 50-1, we're not going to match up with that. We're, the FBI with their hiring policy, we're going to get a bunch of tech people in there to combat China. I don't think so. So we're going to rely on the private sector to defend a lot of this. But I have questions about why he's making this announcement now. Why is he just bringing this up all of a sudden? We've known that China has been a threat ever since they flew a balloon over our heads and they couldn't figure out what that was. And beyond that. And now that we've got multiple fronts that are percolating, we've got potentially a new front in the Middle East. We've got a proxy war with Russia that we're clearly in, a southern border that's being invaded, probably by the Chinese. What is coming next? Is this going to be the big internet attack that's going to give the government more control to federalize the internet? China attacked us. We're going to have a new internet 9/11, and we're going to have a Patriot Act for the internet. We're all going to be gobbled up any minute now because China took us out. I don't know. I got my questions. I don't doubt for a minute that China is actively and very, very interested in undermining U.S. capabilities. I think that's obvious. The question is, what is our government doing about it? And is there people that are capable of doing anything about it? Because in the room right next over, there is clearly a weaponized app, literally from China, called Tik Tok, that is on the phones of hundreds of millions plus of Americans. Here's Wray.
So as we sit here, while important budget discussions are underway, I will note that this is a time to be keeping ahead of the threat by investing in our capabilities rather than cutting them. We need to ensure that we sustain and build on the gains that we've made that have enabled us to take actions like the Volt Typhoon operation I just mentioned. The budgets that emerge from discussions underway now will dictate what kind of resources we have ready in 2027, a year that, as this committee knows all too well, the CCP has circled on its calendar. And that year will be on us before you know it. As I've described, the PRC is already, today, putting their pieces in place.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
I do not want...
Yeah, I wonder also if some of those pieces maybe had anything to do with election equipment, right? He just talked about a bunch of routers everywhere. A bunch of routers were under control of the CCP. I wonder if they could just get control of a couple of machines in a couple of states. And the FBI would be aware of that, wouldn't they?
Those watching today to think we can't protect ourselves. But I do want the American people to know that we cannot afford to sleep on this danger. As a government and a society, we've got to remain vigilant and actively defend against the threat that Beijing poses. Otherwise, China has shown it will make us pay. Thank you, and look forward to today's discussion.
Thank
you, sir.
So he's there,
Director.
he, wants some additional money, wants some more budget stuff, and he's going to get a bunch of questions from Congress. And of course, you can watch a lot of that on your own time because they also give questions to everybody else. But literally right next door, the guy who runs TikTok was talking with Congress. And here he is with Ted Cruz. This is the CEO of TikTok. And Ted Cruz asks him some questions about this. This app is one of the most popular apps in the whole country. And you think about what this app could do. Let's say you have 100 million Americans on it, and you really don't want Donald Trump to win. And Joe Biden is running against Donald Trump. And so on TikTok, all you do is just make a tiny little algorithm nudge to promote anything that causes abortion panic, right? That's going to be a big issue on the left. So you just needle that a little bit. You just show, women, Trump's taking away your abortion rights, something like that, something subliminal, not even a big deal. Just 1% adjustments, and maybe even a couple states, a couple markets, doesn't even matter. You don't even need the whole country. Forget Texas, forget some of the red states, just adjust it a little bit in some of these other areas. All right, you amplify some of the negative Trump stuff. You amplify some of the pro-Biden stuff, just a smidge. And can you influence 1%, 5% of the vote? I don't know. Very curious. But that's an influence operation, just changing people how they think. Censoring stuff. That's just one portion of this. But what about the data? Gobbling up the data. Accessing your phone, all your DMs, your face scans, right? Everybody scans their face when they post it. China's got all of it, all being gobbled up by some foreign country. And who knows what they're doing with that, whether they're, creating profiles on citizens, especially high profile citizens. It's weird stuff. I know we don't trust the big tech companies here in America, but at least we can file a subpoena against them, or file a lawsuit rather against them. Sue them, right? Even if you lose, there's some process. We have no idea what's going on over there in China. And I think it's a pretty pernicious problem. So does Ted Cruz. Here is what it sounds like when he's talking with Mr. Shu Chu.
You're familiar with China's 2017 national intelligence law, which states, quote, all organizations and citizens shall support, assist, and cooperate with national intelligence efforts in accordance with the law and shall protect national intelligence work secrets they are aware of.
Yes, I'm familiar with this.
TikTok is owned by ByteDance. Is ByteDance subject to the law?
For the Chinese businesses that ByteDance owns, yes, it will be subject to this, but TikTok is not available in mainland China. And Senator, as we talked about in your office, we built Project Texas to put this out of reach.
So ByteDance is subject to the law. Now, under this law, which says shall protect national intelligence work secrets they are aware of, it compels people subject to the law to lie, to protect those secrets. Is that correct?
I cannot comment on that. What I said again is that we have moved
because you
it
have
out
to
of reach
protect those
this.
secrets?
No, Senator, TikTok is not available in mainland China. We have moved the data.
That has nothing to do with anything. So what Ted Cruz is trying to get him to admit is that he has to lie in order to comply with the Chinese law. So everything that this dude's going to say is lying as compelled by China, right?
Into an American cloud
TikTok
infrastructure.
is controlled by ByteDance, which is subject to this law. Now, you said earlier, and I wrote this down, we have not been asked for any data by the Chinese government, and we have never provided it. I'm going to tell you, and I told this when you and I met last week in my office, I do not believe you. And I'll tell you, the American people don't either. If you look at what is on TikTok in China, you are promoting to kids science and math videos, educational videos, and you limit the amount of time kids can be on TikTok. In the United States, you are promoting to kids self-harm videos and anti-Israel propaganda. Why is there such a dramatic difference?
Senator, that is just not accurate. There's
not a difference between what kids see in China and what kids see here?
Senator, TikTok is not available in China. It's a separate experience there. What I'm saying is...
But you have a company that is essentially the same, except it promotes beneficial materials instead of harmful materials.
Just a different name.
That is not true. We have a lot of science and math content here on TikTok. There's so much of it. I created a stamp feed for 100 billion views.
Let me point to this, Mr. Chu. There was a report recently that compared hashtags on Instagram to hashtags on TikTok, and what trended, and the differences were striking. So, for something like hashtag Taylor Swift or hashtag Trump, researchers found roughly 2 Instagram posts for every 1 on TikTok. That's not a dramatic difference. That difference jumps to 8 to 1 for the hashtag Uyghur. And it jumps to 30 to 1 for the hashtag Tibet.
Interesting.
And it jumps to 57 to 1 to the hashtag Tiananmen Square, and it jumps to 174 to 1 for the hashtag Hong Kong protest. Why is it that on Instagram, people can put up a hashtag Hong Kong protest 174 times compared to TikTok? What censorship is TikTok doing at the request of the Chinese government?
None. Senator, that analysis is flawed. The analysis is flawed. It's been debunked by other external sources like the Cato Institute. Fundamentally, a few things happen here. Not all videos carry hashtags. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you cannot selectively choose a few words within a certain time
Why the
period.
difference between Taylor Swift and Tiananmen Square? What happened in Tiananmen Square?
Senator, there was a massive protest during that time. But what I'm trying to say is our users can freely come and post this content.
Why would there be no difference on Taylor Swift, or a minimal difference and a massive difference on Tiananmen Square or Hong Kong?
Senator, could you wrap up, please?
Senator, our algorithm does not suppress any content simply based on
To
this.
answer that question, why is there a difference?
Like I said, I think this analysis is flawed. You're selectively choosing some words over some periods. We haven't been around as long as other apps.
There is an obvious difference. 174 to 1 for Hong Kong compared to Taylor Swift is dramatic.
All right, so he is just parrying questions from Ted Cruz, but I really like how he started that one with this question about national security. In other words, you're obligated to say what you need to say to protect our national security. And so Tom Cotton also laced into him. He sent this one. He said, have you ever been a member of the CCP? And really goes digging into him on this one. Here's what that sounds like.
I think they then had a lawsuit and it was overturned. I can't remember the details.
No,
it's another company.
The Biden administration that reversed those sanctions, just like, by the way, they reversed the terrorist designation on the Houthis in Yemen. How's that working out for them? But it was sanctioned as a Chinese communist military company. So you said today, as you often say, that you live in Singapore. Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
Do you have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
Your wife is an American citizen. Your children are American citizens.
That's correct.
Have you ever applied for American citizenship?
No, not yet.
Okay. Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again,
Okay.
I'm Singaporean.
Let me ask you some hopefully simple questions. You said earlier, in response to a question, that what happened at Tiananmen Square in June of 1989 was a massive protest. Anything else happen in Tiananmen Square?
Yes, I think it's well documented. There was a massacre.
There was an indiscriminate slaughter of hundreds or thousands of Chinese citizens.
You see, he nodded there. He didn't say yes. I wish Tom Cotton would have said the CCP killed, all those people, and got him to say that. He didn't say that.
Do you agree with the Trump administration and the Biden administration that the Chinese government is committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Senator, I've said this before. I think it's really important that anyone who cares about this topic or any topic can freely express themselves on TikTok.
It's a very simple question that unites both parties in our country and governments around the world. Is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Senator, anyone, including, you can come into TikTok and talk about this topic
I'm asking you,
or any topic that matters to you.
You are a worldly, cosmopolitan, well-educated man who's expressed many opinions on many topics. Is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Actually, Senator, I talk mainly about my company, and I'm here to
Yes
talk
or-
about what
yes or
TikTok
no?
does.
Yes or no? You're here, you're here to give testimony that's truthful and honest and complete. Let me ask you this. Joe Biden last year said that Xi Jinping was a dictator. Do you agree with Joe Biden? Is Xi Jinping a dictator?
Senator, I'm not going to comment on any world leaders.
What?
All right, so you see how that goes. So we're going to have a bunch of senators screaming at the guy. Nothing's going to happen. It's all going to just be more TikTok. In fact, maybe they'll, give him some tax breaks or something. But it's a bizarre compare and contrast, isn't it? In the same city, in the same building, you got Christopher Wray over here saying, China is eating our lunch. We're all going to die. And over there on the other side, you got the TikTok CEO who's just like, no, I'm from Singapore. I don't know what you're talking about. I got a passport from Singapore. Good luck. What are you going to do to me? And a bunch of the senators are just sitting there kind of hemming and hawing. We'll see if they do anything about it. My guess is not. So, my friends, we're going to be here to continue to cover our failures at the FBI as the country gets ransacked and raided by everybody. And I hope you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for going to robertgovea.com to sign up for our daily newsletter and where you can check out the shop, grab yourself a hat, grab yourself a shirt, watch the show, and look great doing it. My friends, we'll see you back here on the next one. All right, my friends, that is it for us on the day. We are going to now hear from you and see what you have to say about it. We covered some good stuff. Director Wray and TikTok guy in Congress, Fani being sued for refusing to release the records, and a secret Obama memo that may exonerate Trump. We'll be here continuing to cover it all. And of course, we're going to go over to our members only after party at watchingthewatchers.locals.com here in a short minute. Before you jump into the comments, don't forget to grab Vientikis's book. It is available now at Barnes & Noble. You can grab a copy. Link is in the description below. Shout out to Vientikis, our mod, and the rest of the team that put this together, including the Memesmith team, Geegum Geegum, and everybody else involved. But now, let's hear from you and see what you have to say about it, my friends. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com, our friends on YouTube, our friends on Rumble. Very grateful to see everybody. And starting us off is Patricia over on Rumble. What's up, Patricia? Says, Rob, can you explain how Trump was guilty of defamation for saying he didn't know Carol and that she was a whack job? Isn't that free speech? Sorry if you already went over this. Well, so the problem is, it's about that specifically. Okay. Trump says, I never met this woman. I never did anything. She's crazy. It's about that. They're saying, yeah, you did meet her. You had a photograph with her. And that's kind of the jumping off point. Like they're saying that Trump is not being honest about that. Say now Trump says, I didn't know her, right? Trump, you're using the word met like no. Trump says, I never met her. That's what we say, right? Like, I didn't know Carol. I don't know who she is. I took a photo with her at the end of a receiving line. She's crazy. They're saying, yeah, you did meet her. You did actually take a photo with her. It's just a photo line. And so that's really the crux of all of this. That was the false statement. And he says, I didn't meet her. She is a whack job in order to create what they alleged is harm towards her, which is the defamatory statement. Yeah, you did meet her. Here's a photo with her. All the stuff. So it's about that. And I know it's very minor and I know it's ridiculous, but it's that physical thing. It's not his speech. It's that they have a photograph and the actual physical meeting. Good to see you, Patricia. Thanks for the great question and the very nice dono. Thanks for being a membo over on Rumble. Very nice to see you, Patricia. Shout out to our Rumble friends. What's up, Kama? W Daisy Girls over there. Indoctrination's in the house. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg also apologized to everybody today. Yeah. All right, we got Patricia. Thank you. Vientikis Prime. Hey, the author in the house says, so I had a thought. How can anti-disestablishmentarianism be the longest common definition word in English language when it is practiced by anti-disestablishmentarianists, which is a longer word? These would be people like, the Uniparty. Come to think of it, these people would actively be anti-disestablishmentarianizing, which is an even longer word for society. You're right about that. Yeah, the anti-disestablishmentarians are the people that don't like the people that are disestablishment, right? Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's very complicated for me. That's like a $7 word. I can only afford 3. Stephanie, what's up? Welcome, our newest supporter on the YouTubes. And hey, YouTube friends, don't forget, if you're a member on YouTube, then you can join us on the after party, but you got to grab the Telegram link. So navigate over on the YouTube channel homepage to the community tab, scroll down, grab the Telegram link. We'll see you there. Glocky, New York ruling from Judge Areola is imminent. That hasn't dropped yet, has it? I don't think it came out today. Yeah, I don't think it dropped today. Interesting. He wanted to get it done by the 31st and he didn't. I wonder why that is. Glocky says, if you want to know why the GOP is terrible, look at how much they spent on get out the vote text and voter files compared to Flowers. Quit giving them money. And why didn't Trump form a third party when nearly 60% of Americans were begging for one? This just blows my mind. Here, RNC 70 grand on Flowers. Interesting. Yeah. Office supplies, limos, no text messages. Democrats spend a lot on texts. Yeah. It's all a grift. They don't want Trump to win. The RNC and the GOP, they don't want Trump to win. Are you kidding me? They're going to vote for Biden. Richard Jack says, sup everybody, chilling in the Smokies. Rob, is that you? It's me, Richard. Good to see you over there. Chilling in the Smokies. Sounds like a beautiful time. Very relaxing indeed. We got Knox Bierman's in the house, a defense attorney in Texas. Happy Wednesday, all. The sun is out and it is sunny in Houston. Reading The Enchantress with my daughter. Oh, the book available in the description below. Follow it. Grab V. Grab V's book. Very cool. Glad you've got that, Knox. Hopefully she enjoys it. Third proverb says, we want you to do the audiobook. Well, it's a lot. Yeah, an audiobook. I don't know if I have the, you need someone who can do a nice Lissa voice, you know? I don't really have a good, like, female voice kind of a thing. I don't know. But it would be a good audiobook. You know, those fantasy audiobooks are always pretty good because you get people who can do multiple voices. It's a nice compliment. Thank you, third proverb. We got this one from Dracano, our newest supporter. Welcome aboard, Dracano, as a membo. And V says, just a reminder from yesterday that these books are only for a limited time thing. Well, okay, so get your copy today, my friends. He says, yes, I'm currently writing book 4, but I don't want to be rich or famous or any of that. I just want to keep it a small thing that I'm sharing with you guys. At midnight tonight, I'm going to hit that take down button, which then takes however long Barnes & Noble takes to do their thing. Whoa, V! So V says at midnight tonight. So if you're here catching this live, you have a few hours left to get your books. V is taking it down. It's going to be a collector's item. Amazing. So get your copies, my friends. Amelia is here as a membo for 2 months. What's up, Amelia? You know, the first month's the hardest. Second month, it's just smooth sailing from there. So thanks for joining us, Amelia. Hey, Blue Vero. What's up, Blue Vero? 19 months! Oh my goodness, that's 2 babies and then some. Blue Vero, a membo for 19 months. Thanks for being a membo, man. We've gone through a lot together. We're going to go through a lot more. We're just warming up. Chubby's here. Says, Obama sure could speak out of both sides of his mouth. Yeah, that's true. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Remember all that crap? But at least he could talk, you know. At least he could talk. Joe can't even talk. Now, we knew he was just full of crap all the time, but you know what I mean. Dolphin Fan is the man, bringing in 5 new membos in the house. Thank you, Dolphin. Who's coming in? Diane B is in the house. Nurple is here. Nurple is joining us in the chat. Chris N. Carey is here. And Grant Art also in the house, courtesy of Dolphin Fan is the man, bringing in 5 of our newest membos. New membos, grab the Telegram link in the community tab section. What's up, Simon? Simon's also over on the YouTubes. First super chat on a live stream, Simon. We're glad that you made our show the first. Robert, one of these days, you should do a dig on Arabella Advisors and the 1630 found. All this lawsuit against President Trump is founded by the foundations. I think I've actually heard of that. Arabella Advisors. Philanthropy and impact investing. DC-based for-profit consulting company that advises left-leaning donors where to give their money. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, 1630 fund. Wow. Yeah, they've undeniably benefited from the rush of panicked political giving on the left during the Trump years, getting a lot of money because everybody just hates Trump for some weird reason. Trevelyan Gale is in the house. What's up, Trevelyan Gale? Thanks for the nice dono. Thank you for sending this in. Says, hey you back. Thank you, Trevelyan. A Bad Poet. Bad Poet is our newest monthly supporter over on Rumble, and apparently they're notifying us now when you become a supporter. That's awesome. Amazing. That's on Rumble. Lemon Zinger, also on Rumble. What's up? We got some good Rumble comments today. Says, I love your show. So glad I found you, Robert. You're the bomb. Thank you, Lemon. Thanks for being a member on Rumble. And I love you back. I'm really glad that you join us, and I'm glad that you're here with us. Hey, this one's from Glocky. Says, not safe for work, so I'll let you get this on your own time, but I highly recommend to anyone with an X account a rap song making fun of Pelosi and Kamala over J6. And it's on that link, Alex Jones, MW3. It's that status. So follow that account to learn more about that. Glocky says, how can America start a new war overseas when its enemies are in seats in power in DC? And this is a link from Rashida Tlaib. She just voted against the bill to ban Hamas attackers from coming to the United States. Oh, good. So we'll have more Hamas attackers in the United States, courtesy of Rashida. Nice. Maybe they can go live with her. Glocky says, I want to know if this is going to impact more cases in Fulton County, not just the election one. Well, yeah. I mean, if Fani Willis is no longer the DA, yeah, it's probably going to have some snowball effects on a bunch of other prosecutions as well, not just Trump's. This old guy says, I'm surprised Fani's office is able to prosecute any cases based on the fact that they appear to have taken lessons from Wade on note-taking. They don't have notes about anything. You're right. Yeah, this old guy is referencing us back on a prior show. We talked about Nathan Wade. He did a prior investigation into jail deaths in Fulton County, and he took no notes, like nothing. They're like, well, did you do any work? He's like, I did. Where are your notes? They're in here. Okay, thanks. And then apparently that was high quality legal work. So they brought him back to prosecute one of the most important cases of all time, the prosecution against Trump. No notes on $1 million for that legal work. Great. Red One says, okay, so Fani paid $600,000 for a Nathan's hot dog. What's up, Glocky? Says, you missed my post this morning about Justice Sotomayor. Well, sorry, we missed that, Glocky. You want to repost it, or let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I know the story. Justice Sotomayor is having a tough time in the Supreme Court. She's a little bit overwhelmed, a little overwhelmed. Knox says, I've been my own boss for 16 years, but remember bad bosses. Big Fani sounds like she would have been a horrible person to work with. I agree. You walk into her office, she says, just give me a one sentence theme. What? Are we having a conversation or not? Weirdo. All right. Thanks, Knox. Finn Contracting says, Nathan showed Fani and crew how to maintain all notes and records in the mind. In the mind. Exactly. No, I'm not going to read that one, Red One. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to do it. Dennis says, on Fani. I don't know what that comment is either. Viantica says, these government agencies do have a way to put out advisements to the public. It's not a new thing. Why should they ban TikTok when they can educate parents? Oh, wait, that would involve educating people. We don't want that. Yeah, well, I mean, gosh, yeah. Are you trying to say that people should be responsible for their own well-being? V, why would we need the government then? The government's supposed to take care of all of us and wrap us up in bubble wrap and make sure that we don't say anything that's offensive to anybody, We got Glocky says, here's one. FBI guy says it's 3 a.m. Second FBI guy says his calendar is full and his alarm is set for 5 a.m. First FBI guy says he's making another meme about us. So they're probably, this is what they find out in our chat when they're like, are these guys insurrectionists? And we're just making fun memes about the FBI being goobers with crayons and chicken nuggets. We got Red One says, Leave the World Behind, a movie produced by Obama. The story is about civil war and cyber attack. I didn't see that movie, but I saw it come out. Civil war talk in Texas and a cyber attack just announced. So they're pre-loading the next scenes from the story. We just know where it's coming. I think there's some truth to this. I think that they do front load stuff symbolically in the media. There's some weirdness about that. It feels like it's conditioning. Feels like there's definitely a media layer of conditioning that exists in the media, in the music, everywhere. Once you see it, you kind of see it. Good to see you, Red One. Pinochet says WEF and globalists warned us a global cyber attack may come soon. Chris Wray is just fulfilling his part in the plot. Counter the CCP with the communist FBI? LOL, give me a break. That's a great comment. It's funny. Yeah, like that's what Tom Cotton should have said. Are you a communist like Christopher Wray is next door? Yeah, he's like, yeah. I love Christopher Wray. We went golfing last week. Captain Flatastic says, separate experience. He said it out loud. Why is it missed? Yeah, they have their own separate app. They separate TikTok out and they say, you know, it's separate. It's China's China. It's a whole separate thing. It's like the difference between Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. Why is it missed? I don't know. I don't think it's really relevant what they're showing China. I mean, I think that what they're showing China is a good comparison and contrast, but I care about what is happening in America. And I don't use TikTok, man. I was on it for a little bit. We got banned basically immediately, or we got shadow banned basically immediately because of our politics. But I also remember when I was even using it, it doesn't feel good. Like you go through a session on TikTok and you're like, gosh, I feel like just garbage. It's weird. It's weird. So I do think it's a problem. I think, you know, largely social media can be a very addictive problem that a lot of people aren't talking about. Jay Thomas says, ask people with TDS, was life worse under Trump? Well, it's just weird. Like a lot of, if you'll notice this too, a lot of people are out talking about Trump badly. Nikki Haley calls him, like they all call him names and they all say he's ugly and dictatorial. They use different synonyms of those things. He's chaotic. He's a narcissist. He just only cares about himself. He's going to do whatever he wants to glorify his own massive ego. Like all of that, they say it over and over. It's like a broken record. But if you zoom in on that, like if you dug in, it's like, what are you so upset about Trump for? Like, what has he done to you? Like, show me on the doll where he touched you, Eugene. Like, really, where? What is the problem? Are you upset about a secure border? Are you upset about no wars? You just don't like how he tweets and how he talks to people? Is that it? Like, you're so shallow in your thinking that a surface level personality is going to cause you to have TDS in such a way that your whole life is upended because it's the only thing you can think about. Strange. It's a really weird way to live. It's like, how toxic? What a toxic thing. Knox shared this. CIA agent admits that hip-hop was a psyop designed to corrupt the youth and sow division. I've heard that. Yeah, gangster rap, right? How do you sort of program people that drugs and murder are okay? I don't know, make songs about it and make the songs really popular so everyone wants to be a gangster rapper. And you make that the highlight of the culture. Same thing's happening in many different venues. It's great. It's a great point, Knox. It is a layer that exists. What's happening right now? I don't know. Maybe they're programming all of us with their propaganda. All right, let's see who is joining us on the X platform, my friends. We've got some good comments. Who's watching us over here? 27 viewers on X. Oh my goodness. Amazing. How incredible. Hey, look who it is. Hey, look who's back, my friends. It's Paul Mino. Sleepy Dog Lee makes a reappearance. Hey, Paul Mino, Sleepy Dog, we never took you off the meme list on the show, even though I know it's been a while since we've seen you. Here's his post today from this very, very happy fellow. He says, make hibbity-dibbity, not war. It's good to see you, Paul. We're glad that you're back in the rotation. Very good to see you. V Antikiss is here. Hey, we got some links. He says, and they want everything to be online, even your money. Rebecca John shared a link. We got Danny McWilliams. George is here. Let me just do a quick scroll. And, yeah, gosh, yeah. Okay, all right. We got B Torn says, locked out You got locked out. You got locked. YouTube unlogged me in. I can see everything. It just unlogged me. Logged me out. You were locked out because you were right on target about Obama's EO. YouTube doesn't like that. They can't add completely uneditable Wikipedia disclaimer that leftist monitor 24/7. Gosh, I know. What's up, eTorn? Lil Nugget says, as always, great content. Love your show. You the best. Yes, I know, not proper English. I understood you. Work for me. George is here. Thank you, George, for tagging some of these other big accounts. I appreciate that. V's here. Says, China probably just gets all your personal data from the massive NSA collection centers. It's probably right. They don't need an app. They just go into the NSA and they just plug in their thumb drive and just exit. Like, we got the whole country. Yes, right here. If the pen is mightier than the sword, answer this. What good is the pen without the backing of the sword? That's a very deep comment there. And Rebecca John shared the link. And so that, my friends, is our friends over on X. If you want to watch or follow us on X, it's at Rob Govea ESQ. We post a bunch of our videos there. Our shorts go up on X. We try to reach new people. And of course, it's a great way to follow other watchers out there in the wild on the X platform and retweet their stuff, like their stuff, and stay connected. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party, and we hope to see you there. We also have our website, robertgovea.com. Sign up for the newsletter, grab a hat, grab a shirt, get a gift card, and join us. Grab the newsletter also by signing up there, and we'll see you there. But that is it for us on the day. Before we wrap it up, I want to say thank you to our meme smiths and our mods modding down the fort for us, including The Anticus Prime. Grab his book. Link is down in the description below. Our friend K Bean in the house. Just Cause. Playing Hooky. Ronnie Cole. Our friend Zulu. Beyond Geo. Zach Nichols. John Allen. Janek. Dog Digger. And Donut Mind Me. All in the house modding the fort down for us. Our friends Jigam Geegum, who is responsible for this. Look at this. This is Jigam. Jigam did this. This is Jigam Geegam's work. Check this out. Look at that. She designed that whole thing for all of them, right? It's amazing. And so, shout out to Jigam Geegam, our meme smith extraordinaire. Shout out to our friend Sleepy Dog Lee, who rejoined us back on X, and our friend Nathan N810 over on Locals. That, my friends, is it for us on the day. Heading over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Come and check us out. We got more business to attend to, and we'd love to see you there. But if not, well, we are going to be back here. Oh, is Telegram not live? Hang on, is Telegram live? Yeah, Telegram's live. And so we are going over there. We'd love to see you there. But if not, we are going to be back here tomorrow to get into it all again. And we hope to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.